Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Burns Reviews. My name is John, and today we are talking about the new Shudder release, Hunted. Now I'll admit, Shudder has to be my new favorite streaming service. It has 24/7 streaming content on their streaming channels. It has great collections like 101 horror from the early days, slashers. I just watched this documentary with James Cameron talking about science fiction, and this documentary about black history and horror movies. And it's all kind of fantastic. Blood Vessel is one that I just really enjoyed, as well as The Dark and the Wicked. I got a review for that right here. I thought that was fantastic. So when I heard they were doing another original release that was coming out in January, I said, well, this should be pretty good, right? Can't rain all the time. Basic setup, you have this character named Eve, and she's doing a construction deal, and she decides that she's gonna blow off some steam from her job, go to a bar, have a couple drinks, and this guy, who is the wolf, buys her a drink, saves her from a different guy that's kind of annoying her, and they hit it off. You know, they're dancing together, one thing leads to another, they go outside to his car, they're making out, and out of nowhere, his accomplice gets in the driver's seat, starts driving the car, and leaves the club with her in it. Flash ahead, things happen, the car crashes, she escapes out of the trunk, and now they're chasing her in the woods, and she's wearing a red jacket because she's Little Red Riding Hood. Later in the movie, I guess he's the wolf because, you know, he's wearing a camo suit, so I guess he's the wolf. That is pretty much where the allegory of Little Red Riding Hood, in a fresh take, actually stops. So, I always start with the positives. It was engaging enough that I kept watching it. And when the action does kick in, it is efficiently shot that I found it to be engaging at times. But this movie is so paper thin that I just couldn't really recommend it to anybody. If you have Shudder, which is where it's premiering today, and you want to put something on in the background, I'd say it's one of those kind of movies. But in my opinion, I don't think it's a buy, I don't think it's a rent. It just feels like an assembly of scenes, like mini shorts. Like this guy must be the director of this, Vincent Paronnaud. He must have done a couple of shorts before this, and that's what this feels like, because there's no rhythm from A to B. It's just chunks of different shorts that are put together into one movie, I guess. You have this poor lady who's just trying to get away from these two guys, and they're not menacing, they're not threatening. I mean, I guess they are. There's people who die in this movie, but the acting is so weak, and the writing is so weak that I couldn't take any of it seriously. I found myself kind of bored at times, I found myself waiting for it to pick up, and I found the bad guy to be laughable and how ridiculous he was. I always say the character of the wolf is essentially like a combination of Jared Leto as the Joker and Marv from Home Alone 1 and 2. He is over the top. It feels like his lines were very forced. Like maybe he didn't understand what kind of movie he was in. A lot of the writing, the dialogue for his character felt very on the nose. And that's what I mean as far as it being just like Jared Leto, because, you know, he might as well have had a tattoo that said damage across the top, because there's no subtlety, I guess is what I'm really trying to say. And on top of that, we're following his character way more than we are the character of Eve, who's our Little Red Riding Hood, who's supposed to be the protagonist in the movie. As far as the negatives, which is a lot, like I said, the characters were paper thin. The wolf has an accomplice. If you read the synopsis, it says that Eve has to fend off two men. The sidekick to the main bad guy is a mentally handicapped character. So he's basically just a victim of the main villain, you know, because he's pushed into the scenario. There are lots of moments where, you know, he basically says he doesn't want to be doing this, but he's pressured into doing it anyway. So don't let the marketing fool you, because he's not really a threat the way that the synopsis will have you believe. He's just honestly another victim to this guy who's, you know, the wolf. By the time you get to the second half of the movie, it's really over the top and stupid. You got scenes where, you know, the characters are trying to hunt each other. Oh yeah, at one point, she decides that she's going to take control and hunt him, and he's running away. And then, after doing that for like 10 minutes, the movie decides to go back to its original format, and he starts hunting her again. And you're like, okay, so does anybody know what's going on? You know, I don't know why she's the hunter just because she has like a stick. But yeah, you know, it just seems like a maze of different situations where one minute they're in the woods, the next minute they find some campers and there's a kid and he's got a bow and he's shooting arrows and that's a thing. There's one scene where they find paintballers and that's why she has the Braveheart makeup on. It's not because, you know, earlier in the movie she's like eating berries and they're blue and I'm like, oh, that's probably where the poster comes from. She's probably gonna decide to like take charge of her life and put some paint on and go battle or something, right? Like battle, like war paint. No, I shit you not. There is a scene where they are trying to kill one another and it just keeps going and going. And in slow motion, they kind of stumble into random paintballers who are playing, I guess, a game of paintball. Two teams shooting each other. They seem completely unfazed by the fact that there are people that are bleeding and trying to stab each other. And at one point, she just gets shot in the face with a paintball, and it perfectly lands in such a way that it looks like William Wallace from Braveheart. And yeah. So, it's with all that in mind that I'm going to give Hunted, sadly enough, a D. I can't give it enough because I can't say it's the most offensive or the most boring movie I've ever seen. It just felt lazy and uninspired, and it could have used a lot of work, and was kind of a letdown because, you know what, Shudder has only got 2 original movie releases this month. Granted, it is January. January is notoriously known in the film industry for being a dumping ground for terrible movies that didn't really make it into the December of the previous year. So, you know, I guess we just have to get through it and wait until next month. But I will say this though, Shudder, fantastic service. I just got it about a month ago. I've been watching a lot of it, and right now, Shudder is about $45 for the entire year, which I thought was pretty fantastic. You know, you just have to make sure you pay for it annually for the entire year as opposed to like monthly. And little tip, I've got this app called Honey, which finds like promo codes and stuff like that, and I don't remember which code I used, but I know that it looked it up, and maybe it's not even active anymore, but I got it for 12 months, $45 total. And it's got a very large collection, thousands and thousands of titles. Or if you want, you could just put it on the main channel. It's got 3 TV channels, essentially, where it's constantly streaming live content non-stop. So if you're one of those people that just kind of hates, you know, shuffling through Netflix or Hulu, trying to, like, I don't know what I want to watch, this is kind of reminiscent of, like, that old school feel of turning on the TV, walking into the middle of a movie, and going, you know what? I dig this. I'm going to go with it. Which, honestly, I like. I don't like digging too much. So that feature alone, fantastic. And I've watched a couple of different things that way. I watched this movie called Blood Vessel, which I really enjoyed. I highly recommend Shudder. Go check it out. Probably can get it for like $45. Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up here on Burns Reviews. Be sure to subscribe if you want videos just like this. We do early reviews. We do side-by-side comparisons. We do end and explain videos. We do audio commentaries on our Patreon. If you want to check out our Patreon, support the channel. It's only $1 right now. With that said, guys, I've been John. You've been Burned. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.